Greetings and salute Elder Blacklight here. Reading from Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Page 100. The Devil, entitled The Devil, Devil's Fool and Disgrace You. Subtitle: Almighty Allah God and the nation of Islam elsewhere, Asia, Africa, the islands, are grieved and hurt to the heart. To see you walking into the trap of your enemies, the devils, have and still are sitting for you. I am your sincere brother with the truth from your God and mine, which means your very life and the future of your children and nation of black men and women. The truth being that your world that you should know your enemies. The truth being that you should know your enemies and their tricks being played on the world of our kind. But will you listen to the truth? Will you listen to the truth? Do not take what I'm teaching and writing lightly. It is the truth from your God, and you should soon hear me witness that it is the truth. Allah has said to me that we are living in the end of the world of white rule. And Allah said to me again that we are living in the world of white rule, a race whom Allah has made manifest to you and me as being real devils. I read to you this Halloween, because this the so-called holiday. They call it a holiday for the devils, and it lasts until April's Fools. And they give it different titles like Christmas. First we're going to say Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and Easter. And then they got Halloween and Devil's Night, remember? America is the trap house of suckers. Now, continue on with Jim Jones.
Was in reality a mass mind control experiment conducted by the CIA as a follow-up to something called MK Ultra, which they conducted from the early 50s through 1974. They used to use the VA hospital and state hospitals. They used the federal state penitentiaries for their experiments. Do you think that Jim Jones was actively involved with the CIA? I do now. Would you elaborate? Let me read you one quotation. Well, I read it at the end. It's a quotation from the book, The Strong as Poison, but Jones gave, we had reports before they went down to Guyana that Jones had given $1 million to Burnham. The only other connection was between Burnham and Jones. We thought it was based on money. We don't know where Jones got all that money. We know, for example, that Jones spent at least 9 months down in Brazil, I think it was, either in the late 60s or early 70s, after which he came back with the money to start the Mendocino operation of the People's Temple. And we're starting to have the linkage between, we have Blakey, who was his top assistant, one of his top assistants, over in Roe with the CIA. We have Dwyer down there, the station chief of the CIA. They had a covert operation. They had to have with Dwyer, they had to have a covert operation which was not reported to Congress. Now, the Hughes-Ryan Act of 1974 said they had to report all CIA covert operations to the oversight committees. That was Leo's legislation. He co-authored that. There was no such report of a covert operation in Angola, in Guyana, meaning, I brought this out in Washington. One of the things they're checking into in Washington now, that the CIA broke the law if it had a covert operation or did not report it to these oversight committees. So what we have here is, Leo goes down there, and the question is, with Dwyer there, Dwyer came in from Thailand. He's with the CIA since 1959 in Guyana. We have photographs of Dwyer with his arms around Marceline Jones and Jim Jones out there. We have Dwyer going back to Jonestown after Leo's shooting, and Jones getting wiped out. And what we're trying to, we now have an admission back to the Senate Intelligence Committee, for example, that they now admit that Dwyer was CIA and is CIA. If what I'm doing is this: you're asking a question on CIA and the definite involvement. They always deny. They denied that Dwyer was a CIA agent when they first charged it. They now admit it. They only admit what you can prove. We have here a copy of a document called Who's Who in the CIA, one of the attachments here, listing Dwyer as CIA since 1959 and where he's been.
Well, let me get back to my original question. I asked you, since you made the statement that you felt the CIA was using the People's Temple as an experiment. My question was Jim Jones aware of it? Was he part of that experiment?
If that experiment exists, because I'm saying to you that this possibly is a strong possibility of race. I'm inclined to believe it. I can't be sure, but I'm saying yes, that if such an experiment was there, Jones would have had to have been part of it and would have had to have led that experiment. Let me read to you this one statement from Jones, which is quoted in a guy, I hate to give you the source because it's the book The Strongest Poison by Mark Lane, and I wrote Lane's lives and other parts of his book from personal experience. But there's a statement here, which you can read here, about Jones is claiming he was a true and loyal patriotic American. If the terrible machine was obligated to remain in Guyana, and the world people would never know what a patriot he was. This is a statement from Jones, down in Jonestown. So what I would like to have you do, this is what I'm doing here, is very difficult for me to sort of shorthand this much documentation, but all I'm really doing is suggesting to you that I'm making this statement today to this forum. I've asked them to take the documentation I've attached, to consider going in and reviewing this data and conducting a further investigation on their own, especially in the black community, among survivors, among relatives of that, to see what evidence they can find there, to either corroborate or disprove these statements about the mind control experiment in Jonestown.
Do you see any significance in the fact that Jones did his recruiting and had his temple in the black community insofar as an experiment?
You got to stop it there. Only got a little amount of time left to say that this will be continued. Black light.